Morgan, good afternoon to you. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join me here for this interview. How are you?
No worries. Really good. Thank you. How are you?
Great. The reason I invited you on is because I saw a few wins from you in the copywriting campus. Could you explain what they were about?
Yeah, sure. So I've had one of them was 1,600 a month on a copywriting retainer. The deliverables were a bit, some weeks different to other weeks, but it was mainly for Instagram captions and emails. I've had another retainer, which again, the price varies each month because it's sort of like a pay per piece retainer, but we agree on the work needed for each week on a Sunday. And then the other one isn't a retainer, but I do the launch sequence for their events and they run seminars. So it's sort of every 2 to 3 months. But yeah, they're my wins so far.
Yep. Is this in pounds or dollars?
Pounds, GBP.
Okay. What was the total amount you made from the time you've joined the real world?
I've made 5,000 over the past couple of months.
Good. Very nice. And how did you find out about the real world?
I saw Tate on one of the podcasts. I can't remember what podcast. I think it's your mum's house, something like that, with that comedian. And yeah, I just saw him talking about if you didn't have $30 million in a secret society, then you're going to be pretty screwed over the next couple of years. And that really hit home, to be honest.
Very fair. Yeah, I was going to ask what was it that made you join, but that pretty much explains it.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you've joined the real world. You see all the campuses in front of you. Why did you choose copywriting?
So when you first join, they give you that the sort of quadrant of what shows you how to spend your time. And I was time rich, cash poor, so it made sense for me to just invest my time in building a skill. And I think all throughout school, I just had a sort of natural talent for writing, so it just made a lot of sense, to be honest.
Nice. And how many hours were you putting in when you began, and has that changed since?
It's definitely changed since I've started taking it a lot more seriously. Since earning the money, it made it real in my head that I needed to take this seriously. It's not just another, internet course or whatever. But initially, probably 2 hours a day, if that. I'd just go through the course content. I wasn't even spending time in the groups. I'd just go through the content and get on with my day.
Mm-hmm. And how long did it take you until you made your first income from it?
I think about 2 months.
Okay. So that's put in an average of 2 hours a day. And then, yeah, took 2 months. And how has that scaled since in terms of time span?
Now, all free time I spend on my business. Now I'm any free time. Probably in the actual real world is probably at least 3 hours a day, going through sort of the recorded calls and stuff, the copy review calls, the sales review calls, just looking at the resources. Since then, I've also joined the freelancing campus to improve my outreach game. So I've had some extra things to be going through. So yeah, I spend a lot more time actually in the real world now.
Very nice. I want a different angle in terms of the time span. So you said it took you a few months to make your first piece of income. How has it scaled since then in terms of how much you've made in a certain amount of time, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So after I got that first initial client, that was the seminar one. So I then had a testimonial, which really picked up the momentum. And within the next month after that, I got the retainer. So within a month, I went from making, I think it was like £300 off of the seminar guy to then the 1,600 retainer. And then a month after that, I got the other retainer. And then I think it's only been a month since then that I've now been appointed as creative director at a company just by leveraging my copywriting skills. So my earning potential now, having access to their clients, having that towards my name for my credibility with my outreach, the earning potential I'm hoping is going to skyrocket. So it's not been long whatsoever, really.
I love that. Yeah. And that's a common story you hear. After you've made your first piece of income, you see what's possible, you put in more work, and then it just becomes exponential, the growth. So yeah, great to hear that happening with you as well.
Thank you.
Now, how different would you say the material is in the real world compared to what you can find out on the internet?
So much more in depth. It's not hollow. You see the clickbait stuff on YouTube that's promising you everything but delivers you nothing. Whereas the real world has like a structure. It gives you everything you need to take you from, nowhere to completely informed on everything. Like for example, in the copywriting course, you go from not even knowing what copywriting is to being able to land a client within like 14 days. So just like the value packed inside of each lesson is just mind blowing, really.
Right. I love that. And did the community have any kind of impact on you?
I'd say to begin with, I didn't spend enough time in the community, and if I had done, it would have made a much bigger difference. So even just like getting your copywriting reviewed, like that has been massive for me. Reviewing other students' copy, so like now going back, I'll look at students that have just joined and review their copy because it gives me an opportunity to reconfirm my skills and reteach myself while teaching others. So definitely, like I haven't been anywhere else that's like given me that opportunity to be around that many other like-minded individuals on the same sort of mission.
Awesome. And what about the Winch channel? Did that have any effect on you?
Definitely. I think because in the past I'd done things like joining Forex trading courses, and I'd always had like the sort of doubt in my mind that it's not going to work. Whereas when I joined the copywriting campus and I saw that there was people posting daily these massive wins, I thought, if they can do it, why can't I?
Right. Yeah. And when you started out in the copywriting campus, what was the biggest challenge you faced? Do you remember?
Um, I'd say probably the challenges were within me and my own time management. Like all the course is structured in such a way that if you have challenges, you can ask the professors. There's a video for everything. There's the questions answered in the frequently asked questions section. But my challenge was just devoting my own time and taking it seriously. And then since picking up my momentum, that challenge has went out the window. It's all I want to do now.
I love it. Okay, since you said that's all you want to do now, I think it's relevant to ask, what does your average day look like now compared to before you joined the real world?
Before I was wasting time scrolling on Instagram. I had no direction. Now all I do is, I plan every hour of my day. I get a post-it note before bed and I put, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, and I plan out writing copy, reviewing copy, clients' work, outreach. The only thing that's not now my business is physical activity.
Right. But that's still technically work because a healthy body is a healthy mind, which leads to more productivity, efficiency, everything. So it still relates.
Definitely.
Okay. Now something for you to think about maybe before you answer. What have been the three biggest lessons you've learned from your time in the real world?
So one is definitely one of the copywriting values, which is when you're awake, you're working. Because until I was planning my time, I didn't realize how much time I was wasting. So that's definitely a big one. Biggest lessons. So there's so many, it's difficult, but the mindset has been the biggest things. So like say things like just overcoming self-doubts, being able to believe in myself and to believe that I'm capable of doing all the things that I want to be able to do. And other than that, I'd say probably the other biggest one is that the money's out there. Before, when you're doing a 9 to 5, you think you're only limited to a certain amount of money. But when I've been in the real world and I've seen these amount of wins going around daily, the amount of people like achieving their dreams, there is trillions of pounds being moved every single day. And if you can find a way to provide the right value, you can, take your cut of that money.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I just can't remember the exact phrase, but if you stand well, like water's flowing, you're bound to get wet, something like that. So yeah,
Like
what you're
that.
saying. Right. Okay, I like it. Now, where do you see your future heading now that you're on this trajectory? And let's say 6 months to 1 year.
I want to be traveling the world. I think that was initially why I wanted to make money from my laptop, was because I didn't want to be restricted to one location. I want to be at the point where I've got staff working for me, as well as me looking after my own clients. Like I said, I want to have a brand around my name, a business that people know is something credible and something respectable and something that they can rely on and trust, but not even just for like myself, for other people's incomes, but also to have that time, location, and financial freedom.
Right. Very worthy goals.
Yeah.
Now, on a different note, would you have anything to answer for what kind of an impact Tate has had on you?
Yeah, I think the being in control of your own mind and being able to control your situation. I think before I was very wrapped up over like the pandemic and stuff, I was very wrapped up in the sort of conspiracies, you might say, and feeling helpless to them, feeling hopeless. But actually, Tate came along and showed me that you can come from sort of a bad situation, and if as long as you take control and you put the work in and you learn your lessons about yourself, then you can, change your reality and change your future. Because like where Tate was from isn't very far away from where I was born. So I think when I heard that, I was like, well, he's like 40 minutes down the road and he did it. So what's stopping me from doing it?
Right, right. Very good. Okay, now before we end off, what advice would you have to people who are considering joining the Real Watch?
To just dive in. It's £50. Well, it's not even £50, it's $49. So that's, cheaper in pounds. I think all you've got to do is dive in and test it for a month. You'd be able to get through a campus in half of a month. And if you don't feel like you've learned over $50 worth within that time, then sure, leave. Well, but I guarantee that, no one would join and see the value that's there and then think this isn't for me.
Right, agreed. And now for people who want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
So on Instagram, I'm MB Market Master. And yeah, that's probably the best place to get me.
Yep. Awesome. So Morgan, again, thank you for your time. Really enjoyed this interview. And I look forward to doing a follow-up in future to see how things have scaled for you.
Awesome. No, I look forward to it. Thank you very much.